Hello, welcome to today's video. Eric the Computer Guy here. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Dell Dimension 8300. We're going to take a look at the front of it first. So you can see we have a CD drive, a CD DVD burner, and reader. This actually is not original to the computer. This came from a different computer that's basically a parts machine. Below that, you can see the floppy drive, which is also not original to it. It came from the Dell Dimension 3000. Moving down, we got this blank plate where I'm thinking of putting in a zip drive. I really want to have a zip drive on this computer, so it's going to go there. Down here, we have just the Dell Dimension badging, power button, and LED indicators. The little Dell logo under this flap. Under here, you have two USB ports and a headphone jack. If you go a little bit lower than that, you'll have the Windows XP sticker and the Pentium 4 hyper-threaded sticker. And this is the first time I've ever encountered a hyper-threaded Pentium 4 in my life. Okay, we're going to fire it up and go into the BIOS before we go into the operating system so I can just show you some of the features of the BIOS. So it is a BIOS version A07. It's got the Pentium 4, 2.6 gigahertz with the level 2 cache for 512 kilobytes. It would be a Northwood based on that. Has a new CMOS battery, but the time's about 4 hours behind. It kind of drifted that way when I connected it online. My router, for some reason, thinks I live in the Great White North and I'm in the US. So down here we have diskette drive A. It's a 3.5 inch, 1.44 megabyte. It actually has a serial ATA controller. It has two serial ATA headers on the motherboard. Top of that, we have the hard drive controller here for the IDE. It's just got an 80 gigabyte in there. Down here you have the CD-ROM devices. That's what it calls them. Has a boot, it has a boot drive sequence, which is just so weird. It's got USB. Really, computers can boot USB. You can see it goes IDE, CD-ROM, and then the hard disk. I'm gonna probably change that because we're not gonna be installing an OS again. Boy, I didn't want to go like that. There we go. We'll go down to the memory information. We have half a gig of RAM. It's DDR 400 megahertz. The CPU information will show you I do have hyper-threaded enabled. It's got an 800 megahertz bus, which is actually not bad for the time, I don't think. I've got all the legacy devices. It doesn't have onboard, it has onboard sound, but it's not enabled by default. We have a sound card in the back. We also do have a video card in the back. It's a GeForce 4 440 or GeForce 4 MX 440. It's a 64 meg card. It's better than the other one that was out at the time. If you know what that one was, I believe that one was the GeForce FX 5200. That thing was a nightmare, I've heard. As you can see here, I do have a custom boot screen. This is something I do to all my XP machines. Even back when I was a kid, this is the one I had. I thought it was always cool. So it doesn't feel right without that boot screen to me. Oh, that sound. So now we're in the desktop. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff on the desktop and then maybe crack open the computer today. Okay, I'm back. I had to take care of something. We're going to take a look at the apps on the computer. So you have for apps for FPS monitoring, Max Payne, Roller Coaster Tycoon, eGames icon. That's for a game of Mahjong I have on here. Fallout, GTA San Andreas, Quake 2, Half-Life, Halo. We have GameSpy Arcade, which was part of Halo. It's online, it doesn't work. We have Magic Disc and Morrowind on this computer so far. I'm thinking about trying to get Tony Hawk's Underground 2 on here and a few other games this week that I have, like Need for Speed Underground and maybe try to get Quake 3 up on here. I tried the original Quake, it will not work. So I will have to build an older machine, and then I'll probably port some of these games off. Games that predate XP would go on that machine. So that's going to be fun having to dictate that. I'm going to try to get GTA 3 and Vice City on this computer. I don't have those at all. I'll have to buy copies. I'm going to be taking a look at thrift stores for a lot of these games as well. Morrowind's from GOG. Good old games. I'm going to have to go look there too for some of these games and just drop them on and install them. Because I really do need to get this computer loaded with games. I love it. I love Windows XP. This is the OS I grew up on. My first computer was from the same generation as this Dell. It was a custom built and not this Dell at all. I never had a Dell before these guys. Most of my retro machines are Dells. I can't seem to escape them. But they're nice, quick, and they're reliable. They're pretty serviceable too for the time. So let me power this guy down, and we're going to crack her open and take a look at what she's got inside. Okay, so we're inside the Optiplex, and then in a minute we're going to go take a look at the back of the machine. So up here are the two optical drives with a cable for the analog audio out that goes down to my sound card in here. We'll get to that in a minute. Underneath this mess of wiring is the floppy drive. Underneath here is where I'm going to put the zip drive when I get one. The hard drive, the spare bay for the hard drive, some extra mounting hardware. Then we move over here. Underneath this baffle is our Pentium 4 with a beastly heatsink. A RAM. This is one of the weirdest RAM layouts I've ever seen. 2 slots on the side like an iMac, and then straight up like a desktop. You can see down here we have a 250 watt power supply. It's probably a quality like Delta one, I think. Dell has some pretty good manufacturers back in the day. I'll have to confirm that and do a follow-up for that. So you can see all the connectors that we have down here. Our motherboard has, so we could go motherboard audio if we wanted to. Don't want to. Got the nice sound blaster, the MX440, and a wireless card that's aftermarket. There would have been a modem right there, but I pulled it out. Didn't need it, didn't want it. Mainly because PCI slots come limited here. If anything, I'm going to put a Firewire card in this thing and maybe a more modern, like card for USB. Maybe like a USB 3 card that would work with XP if they make them. I know they made some weird things back in the day. Yeah. Let me button this up and we'll take a look at the backside. So we have our power supply output here, the fan for the power supply, CPU cooling fan, 9-pin serial, printer, diagnostic LED lights. We have our keyboard and mouse PS2 ports, sound output blanked over. We have exactly 6 USB, I believe they're 2.0 ports. Looks like an Ethernet jack. VGA, S-Video, DVI, game port, audio connectors. I know that one's the rear, that's for speakers. I know that one's line, and I'm not sure what those are. Can't think of them off the top of my head. Then the wireless card, antenna blanking, and the blank plates. Thank you for watching this video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.